Hello, everyone, and good morning, and welcome to another author interview here on Tales from the Wandering Scribe. I'm your host, Gabriel Garcia. Many of you know me as the Wandering Scribe and the Wandering Quill. And joining us today is another author making their official debut here on the channel, as well as a fellow podcaster. Now, my guest today is a brand new indie author who traded years of working with families, couples, and children for a fresh adventure. Writing. She brings humor, heart, and a little real-life insight into every story she creates. And when she's not writing, she loves spending time with her amazing husband, her 3 beautiful children, her friends, family, and spoiling her 2 dogs, usually with a cup of coffee nearby. More Than I Expected is her debut novel and the first of many stories she hopes to share. So, without further ado, let's give a huge round of applause to our guest today, author and fellow podcaster, Amara Wynn. Amara, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome, Amara. Awesome. So before we get into your debut novel, as a little icebreaker question, is there a random fact about you that not a lot of people may know?
I am covered pretty much from neck to feet in tattoos.
Ooh, okay. Nice. Very, very nice. Do you have a favorite tattoo?
Yes, actually, and I will show it to you because why not? Hang on. If I can get my shirt up that far. I have a ghost face tattoo, and since Scream is coming out, you can't really see it. I have a ghost face tattoo. And since Scream is coming out this weekend, I am excited about that tattoo.
Nice, nice. And without spoiling too much of your debut novel, More Than I Expected, what can readers expect from this book of yours?
I like to call it a romantic comedy, but I also heard from a couple of people who were reading it that it does have romance, it does have comedy, but it's not a romantic comedy, which kind of hurt my feelings a little bit because I was convinced that it was a romantic comedy. But it does revolve around a young woman named Sydney Benton, who's in her 30s. She is a independent grant writer. She works from home, and she's pretty much gotten to this point in life where she's stuck, doesn't really know what she wants to do, and has sort of become a recluse where she's staying inside. And her best friend has signed her up for an accountability app called Resolve. And through this accountability app, she's supposed to set goals every day and then actually complete those goals. So the story basically is this young woman who is trying to rediscover her life. She has some trauma in her past. She has a lot of issues and likes to be alone, but is trying to muddle her way through her own mental health issues. So I think I want people to recognize that it's okay to have those issues and find your way through it.
Awesome. Awesome. So before we dive into the backstory behind this book and how it came to be, let's talk a little bit more about you, Amara. So I'm very curious, what really put you on this path to be a writer? Were you always passionate about writing growing up, or is there a specific aha moment that really, got you to this point?
Well, I've always wanted to write. I have probably, like 20 manuscripts laying around that I always thought were going to be the great big novel that would make me $1 million. But I never finished them because I just felt like even though they were good in my book, I was too afraid to put them out there to anybody. But then when I guess it was last year, I left my job, my big girl job. And, when you leave a job that you've been with for a very long time, it's not easy. And I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. Small towns have small town gossip. Small towns like to talk about why people left and what they did. So I kind of went into a hole and decided I'm going to pick up my first one, the first novel that I wrote, the first manuscript, and I'm going to finish it. So that's exactly why I did it, because I've always wanted to, and now I have the opportunity. And it was very exciting to actually sit down, finish it, and then go through the process of publishing it. It was terrifying, but exciting. So the aha moment was I'm leaving my job.
Nice. Okay.
Did I think I was going to make a lot of money? Yes. Did I have made a lot of money? No.
That's the truth for a lot of us authors. And something that we will be touching on much later is that going into the publishing industry is not a get rich quick scheme. It is a lot of grinding away. It's a lot of long nights. It's a lot of coffee, maybe a little bit of alcohol slipped into it to keep us going.
Okay.
Whatever it does, maybe mix of both. We'll just see what happens. But
Little Bailey's in there.
yes, but ultimately, it is an industry where you have to be knowledgeable of this is what's at stake. This is what you have to do, and you have to treat it like a job. If you treat it like a job, like a 9 to 5 with like your own goals, you will do fine. So now, on that note, let's talk about the backstory of your debut novel. So, for the story in particular, starting with the title, was the title always going to be that, or was there a workshop of what titles would best fit this story?
I didn't actually have a title with it until I finished it.
Okay.
Mostly because the characters themselves and where the story went was more than I expected. So, really, the title is about myself being like, wow, look at me, I finished this, and it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I let a couple people read it before I had a title, and surprisingly, they were not horrified by it. So it ended up being more than I expected completely.
Nice. Okay. Now, as also a parent as well, how do you manage and balance, the home life and everything with your writing? Because I can imagine there may be some moments of, trying not to be too overwhelmed.
Well, honestly, I'm old. I don't look as old. Maybe I look young. I don't know. People say I look young, but I'm old. My oldest child is 31, so she's out on her own. So she's no problem. My other child is 26, and he has special needs. So he is, which is one of the main reasons why I wanted to come home, was to be able to be with him and take care of him. But I still work. I still have another big girl job. I do work a big girl job. But I can work in the same room with him. And then my other son passed away a couple of years ago. So I still claim I have 3 because we still have his ashes, and we and we travel with him. So he's very much still here, but he doesn't talk that much right now. So really it's just Will, and he's pretty quiet. But he lets me work. So yeah, balancing being a full-time mother and being a full-time employee and trying to write full-time can be difficult, but I have the best, most amazing, sweetest husband on the face of the planet who always makes sure that I have time to write. He will sacrifice time with me so I can sit down and write. He's so amazing. I love him.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome, Amara. And kind of on that note, would you consider yourself more of a morning writer or a night owl?
Night. Well, I don't function in the morning. All of my meetings for work are in the morning, and I have to struggle to just and I'm doing it from home. My bedroom is right there. I shouldn't have to struggle that much, but I have to struggle to just get to the computer for a morning meeting. All of my writing happens at night.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Kids go to bed, husband goes to bed, I'm up writing.
All right. That's almost like the same thing for me as well. I used to be a morning writer. Can't do it now. I like to be a night owl, but I've made a stopping point for me as a night owl because I have met a point in my life where I can stay up till 2 a.m. I don't want to stay up to 2 a.m. to write because I got work. Yes, I work later in, the afternoon, but I also have my other job, which is, doing interviews. And sometimes my first interviews are usually like 8 a.m. So I want to at least look presentable. Otherwise, I don't want my guests to realize or see me almost falling asleep on camera. That's not going to be fun.
I've done an interview at 8 a.m. Because of a time difference, and I wanted to shoot myself because there's nothing like having to get. And my other job, I had to be at work at 8. So I mean, it's not like I'm not capable of getting up and getting myself ready. But since I've been home, and I left that job in December, so a good 2 months, it's getting harder. to get up and get ready and then try to have a coherent conversation with somebody about their book. I feel your pain.
Absolutely, 100%. So now let's actually go to the overall skeletal structure of your book. Now, would you consider yourself more of an outliner, planner, or a pantser?
I am a want to be planner. Am I? No, but I am a want to be planner. I will outline everything and then nothing goes that way ever. I don't know what's wrong with me. Why do I even bother wasting the time making an outline? I don't know. But I'm gonna say I'm an outliner because I want to speak into existence. It's not true though. I'm never gonna be an outliner.
I like to be an outliner. I tried being a pantser for my last book. It was not fun. I hated it. I want to be an outliner through and through until the very end. And I know with outlines or some kind of like a structure for a book, we always have an idea of, our goals with a project, going back to almost the very beginning of the interview. So when you finish the initial draft, or even when you began writing your debut novel, Amara, what was the goal you had in mind for yourself as the author, as well as the promise that you were going to be making, not just to yourself, but to your future readers?
That's actually a really good question. The promise that I made to myself was to just finish it, to see it through, because I am terrible about not following through with things that are important, that I think are important, but I always put myself last. Probably because of my former jobs and because I'm a mom, I've always put myself last. So that would be my promise to me. My promise to readers would be that I'm always going to, and I told the readers in the beginning of this, the ones who I let read early on, I want it to be funny and I want it to be real. I don't want there to be things just because. I don't want there to be scenes just because. I want it to feel like you're watching a movie of someone's life play out, but maybe it's your own life, because there are so many mental health conversations in it. So I wanted them to I promised them that I would try to make this character as real as possible. And I think I delivered. I don't know. No one has complained. I don't know if they would complain to my face though.
Okay, all right. And on this topic of, authenticity, how did you ensure that the characters felt authentic in the sense that you could imagine and envision them existing in the real world? And do you have a favorite character?
My favorite character is Sloan, and he is the main character, Sydney's best male friend. I love him. He's actually everyone's favorite character. He is chaos and crazy, but protective and loving and kind. He's my favorite. My least favorite is the main character, because and your question, how did I make sure it sounded authentic? It's because it's basically me.
Okay.
I hate that. And I think a lot of authors write themselves into the book that they're writing without meaning to. And I totally 100% did that. So I like her the least, obviously, because, it's me. But I took every person that I care about and love and used parts of them to make these characters. Like Sloan, who is her best friend, is a mix of my two best friends. And the Elias, who is the love interest, is very similar to my husband. So I really did pull from real life to make it seem realistic, including the struggles and including the not so nice people. They all come from real life experience.
Okay. And on that note, we actually get into our first fan question of the interview.
I don't have fans. Why are you making that up? I don't have fans.
Well, definitely whenever I tell people who I interview, they always send me a lot of questions through my website. And one person, well, as soon as they found that I was going to be interviewing them, they reached out to me saying, who's going to be on your lineup. They did have this fan question they wanted to ask you, Amara. And that fan question is, were there any characters that did not make the cut of the book that you had planned to introduce them, but they did not work structurally or just it didn't fit well in the story.
Yes, there is one particular character who I had planned on putting in the book and then opted not to because I realized that this character, the character that, how do I say this without giving anything away? So Sloan, the best friend, he has somebody in his life that I wanted to introduce into this book, but I opted not to because I've decided to make another book based on this group of people. And this one will focus around Sloan. So I'm introducing that person into this one, into the second one.
Okay. All right.
I also don't want to make it too messy. You have too many dramas going on, it can get messy.
But then again, some people may like the messiness when it comes
That's
to those kind of
true.
stories.
That's true. But there was so much sadness going on. I mean, even though there's sadness, it's still funny. I think it's funny. I don't know. Somebody else may read it and say there's nothing funny about it, but I think it's hilarious. And I've heard good things about that. But I do wish I had brought her in from time to time because I think it would have made for a bigger dynamic. But the book is 456 pages.
Ooh.
Yeah, it would have been too long. So she didn't make the cut. She cut out.
All right. Now, here's another fan question, and I'm a little curious of how you're going to respond to this particular fan question. Because I've gotten this before on another interview, I want to say earlier this year. And this commenter would like to know, how would you respond if someone said that your book reminded them of like classic Hallmark movies or contemporary romance stories of the 1990s and 2000s?
Oh, I watch all those Hallmark movies at Christmas time. I would be flattered. And I think in a way that it could be compared to that in a way, but also not, because I think Hallmark movies are always very clean. And this is not clean. This is, I like to say that the beginning of the book is humor and fun, and then the end of the book is, everything it's supposed to be. But the middle of the book is dark because it really does dive into the issues that all of the characters have. Sloan, Elias, and Sydney, they all of their issues come to light. That does not happen in a Hallmark movie. It's usually just big town girl moves to a small town, meets the good-looking carpenter or the end person, and then she doesn't want to fall in love with, but she does. And this is similar, but it does a deep dive into the real world of grief and trauma and pain and friendship and family. So yeah, I'd be honored, but it would not be 100% accurate.
Okay, that's fair. So it seems to me, start off with Hallmark, you end in Lifetime. That's kind of what I'm getting.
Wow. Yes, sure. You know what? I'll take that. Yes, it's hopeful, but it's not. There's no drama just for drama's sake. No one's getting murdered. There's no like big secret. It's not like that. Imagine your best friend who has issues. Like everybody has that one friend who has gone through a lot and is struggling with their mental health. That's who this book is for.
All right. Okay. All right. Now, kind of shifting gears a little bit, moving away from the characters. Let's talk about another question, which I'm very intrigued to hear your thoughts on. And I'll give some context for this one. And that is, of course, claiming the ownership of, yes, I am an author. Because as I've talked with a lot of people on the show, I've been doing this show for about, in total, 7 years, 3 years on Spotify, 4 years now going on YouTube. It's absolutely insane.
Congratulations.
Thank you. A lot of people that I've had on the show thus far have all expressed their thoughts on this question. And that is, of course, claiming ownership of being an author and when do we feel comfortable letting people know that we are this? Some people that I've had on the show have said they told their friends and family straight from the get-go. Others only when their publication has come out and they've actually made a profit. So for you, Amara, when did you feel comfortable not only telling your friends and family that you were embarking on this new venture, but you yourself also felt confident to claim the title of, yes, I am an author.
I still haven't felt comfortable claiming that title. Yeah, I don't feel comfortable at all. I want to be confident enough to be able to say, yes, I am an author. Yes, everything is great. My immediate family and friends knew. I don't really have a lot of family that knew. That's not true. But like my husband and my core group of friends, they knew. But I still haven't really made like a large announcement. I mean, I live in a smaller rural, I mean, it's not rural, but I live in a smaller town in the South, and people they know me. I'm hard to miss when you have blue hair and covered in tattoos. But I didn't want people to take something to me that's so pure, and I put my heart into, and my blood, sweat, and tears into, and taint that with their outside thoughts of me. So I still haven't told many people. I just told people on my Facebook that I wrote a book, and then I've managed to avoid them all after. So no, people don't know. I prefer it that way. But yeah, here I am showing my face and doing a podcast of my own. I guess at some point they'll figure it out, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of secrets that come out about me at some point. But as of now, I don't care, but I still don't feel like an author.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's something we're going to touch on even more down the road for this interview. And on a little tangent statement, I will say, if you ever are looking for more guests on your show, Amara, as we will touch on when we get to the business side, the one person I highly recommend that you should have on your show, she's not an author, she's a narrator, but I genuinely think you guys would work because she also has blue hair. Her name is Amber M. She is a narrator. You guys would hit it off so well. You could be
send her my way. Twin. Yes, I need a blue twin. People are afraid of blue hair girls. I don't know why. We're nice. We're not scary. I mean, I walk around with a bunny, and this is Broody, and he's angry all the time. I'm not scary. Did you see his face? Look at him. He's just mad. Oh yes, I would love a blue haired friend. Send her my way. I would love to talk to her.
Will do. Amber, if you do watch this interview, I will send you the her Instagram to reach out. I think you guys would hit it off very, very well.
Find me, Amber. I'm out here for you.
Awesome. All right. And now this fan question is completely new. I've actually just gotten this earlier today, and I didn't think too much about it, but it has sparked a little debate in my head. And I would like to hear your thoughts on this, Amara, do you think there is a difference between someone who calls himself an author as opposed to someone who calls himself a writer?
That's a really good question. I think I'm a writer because I write all the time, but I don't consider myself an author. So that's a really good question. I mean, is there a line that says you have to be published in order to be an author?
How does it see? That's a good question, because you could write a whole bunch of things, but I definitely think an author, I think some way lines of some form of publication, because a writer could just be someone that just writes, their own work, but not published. I don't know. I was very, very perplexed by that question, but it is a really good question.
I'm going to go with that because I have published works in the past academically. So I was considered the author. I was not considered the writer, but I was the writer up until it was published when it was an academic. So I'm going to say that yes, there's a difference. Anybody can be a writer, anybody can be an author, but taking that jump would be becoming published. And if I'm wrong, then I'm so sorry. Anybody can be an author. You just got to believe in yourself to do it. But that's rough. That's a rough question, Gabriel. I don't like it.
Comment section. If you know how to answer this question, please provide your answers down below. I would love to hear your thoughts.
We need to know. Sir, is there different? Like it says author interview.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm writing my journal. Does that mean that I'm an author?
Again, comment section. We need your help.
I don't get stumped often, Gabriel, but you did it. Good job.
All right. And now kind of going into what I could call the reflective side of being an author as some icebreakers. And again, this one's going to be a two-parter, but it's probably the most important two-parter question. And that is, of course, being an author in the digital age. Because being an author in digital age is not the same as it was 20 years ago, especially for indie authors. I mean, indie authors was seen as a lesser form of publication for the longest time, but now indie authors have dominated the market, almost reaching the same heights as traditional or trad authors. Yes, trad authors are always going to be one step ahead because they have the name associated with their books. Let's say Penguin Random House, Macmillan,
The marketing
HarperCollins,
team.
yes, Simon Schuster, and many, many more. But indie authors, especially the ones I've had on my show, I've been absolutely blown away. But even with that said, I definitely think social media has definitely made things a little bit more difficult for indie authors. You can publish almost anywhere, but marketing yourself is hell on earth because we don't know how to market ourselves. It's an absolute nightmare. And then everyone's going to be commenting and messaging saying, when's the next book coming out? Are you going to do a spin-off? Do you doing anything else? Like all of that and more, like trying to keep engagement. And it just may be too much. And then people making comparisons like, oh, if you enjoy books by like so-and-so, enjoy this, especially if a fan has bought a book and they're like a big book reviewer. Yes, on the offset, that's amazing. But in training, it's like, am I really, that good to be compared with those people? And it's all these things and more. So ultimately, Amara, my question to you is, with that said, how do you deal with, the dreaded writer's block when it comes to, being an author and a public figure in the digital age, as well as imposter syndrome, which is always going to impact a lot of creatives?
I 1000% have imposter syndrome. I don't know any indie author that doesn't. I mean, I am amazing and great and the best writer in the whole wide world. I'm convinced of this in my own little head. But in reality, when I have to present myself to somebody, it's a fake it till you make it game, basically, for me. For everybody else, it may be great. It's not easy. Imposter syndrome is a real thing that we don't talk about enough. We should talk about how scary that is, because you want to be taken seriously.
Yes.
But at the same time, you don't want to become somebody that you're not. So and that's been a struggle. And I was talking to another author friend of mine about how in the digital world, especially when it comes to like social media and how hard that is, because you do have to market yourself. I actually said to him today that you just can't, you have to do it, but you just shouldn't stress about it so much. Your audience is going to find you. It may not be this book. It may not be your next one, but you can't take yourself so seriously. But at the same time, you're right. There's that fear. Like, what if someone reads it and then gives you a really bad review?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be the person that someone holds up my book and goes, don't read this. It's trash. It's horrible. Don't read it. But people do that online.
Yes, unfortunately.
It's terrifying. And I don't want to be the person who does that. I don't. And I'm old. I remember not having this stuff has made the game so much more complicated. It's positive because now you can put your book in front of people who would never normally see it. But it's negative because if you don't keep that engagement, then what do? Now no one's ever going to see it. And then you start watching the analytics and you become obsessed with it. And I feel like at some point you no longer care about the actual writing process, that you're caring more about your views and likes and hearts and comments on social media. That to me is a shame. But I think social media is the reason why I feel like an imposter. Because I'm old. I don't know how to market. That's not what I do. I don't know how to do that. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I wish I did. It's all complicated. I And I'm watching all these authors struggle, and I'm watching them jump on trends to do things that they would never normally do. I think at some point I just decided it didn't matter. I was just going to be me.
And that is probably the best thing to do, especially now with leading to the next set of questions, the rise of generative AI in
I knew you were going to go there.
I mean, I could not talk about generative AI in the publishing industry, as well as another debate that has been coming about with. So I'll give context to this part of the question as well. So when I began my journey of being an author, it was around 2020, around like the height of the COVID years, the COVID lockdown years. And I just began writing just to stay engaged and not be bored. And as a result, I was able to finish writing all 4 of my books, which are currently published, which I like to call my COVID books, because all those were written during the COVID years. And then
I love that, my COVID books.
Thank you. And when I decided to publish them, it was so interesting to see how easy it was to publish. But at the same time, I definitely realized that, I thought we were in like a golden age of new authors, because a lot of people, especially last year, who I had on my show, began their careers around the same time as me. But as things have gone on and, generative AI has definitely taken hold in the last 5 years, I've definitely seen a shift within the publishing industry, where you have those that are passionate about the industry, want to grow, and those who create something just to make a quick buck. In essence, a transition into the Iron Age is what I like to call it. So ultimately, Amara, my question to you is this. With the rise of generative AI and the publishing industry, shifting every so often from, a golden age to an Iron Age, or possibly maybe even a dark age, depending on if it's abused too much, AI specifically. What has still disciplined you to still stay true to yourself as an author? Going back to what you originally said before, it's like, I'm not going to try to be like these other authors. I'm just going to be me.
The fear of, okay. So I'm glad that you brought up I will answer your question, but I'm glad that you brought up the whole AI question, because what I'm seeing right now is an attack on indie authors who are being accused of using AI even when they didn't. Mm-hmm. And it's rough, because I am an M- lover. And now I have spent my entire time working through my book to remove all M- so people won't think that I used AI to do it. I don't think that yes, it's terrible for the environment. We know that it's terrible for the environment. It's bad. We know that. I don't think people are using it as much as we think they are. I think they're using it on social media more than they are in their books. Having said that, there was that article about that woman who wrote 200 books in a year using AI.
I remember that. I remember seeing that.
You know what? We can't win. But I think that it's like those people who do it, we all get punished for it when we didn't. It's like being a good writer and using good grammar is now being like we're being attacked for it. Like it's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an editor. So if my grammar is bad, or he's going to come back and get me. And I'm not trying to get killed by my editor. So he's not going to put anything out there that sounds or looks stupid or has stupid errors in it. But if you write well and you do okay and your grammar is good, automatically people are going to assume that it's AI. People are going to assume that the cover of my book is AI, but it's not. I mean, did I use Canva to put my name on it? Yes, but I actually drew that. So it's how I chose to stay disciplined was to just I started writing so long ago, there was no AI. That wasn't an option. So this is all I know. And when I started to actually finish this book up, which I had been dabbling on it for a while, but when I actually decided it was time to publish was in November. And you're right, it's so easy. It was up by December 8th. I've been working on this thing for years. The last couple I spent about 8 months prior to November finishing it up. thinking I was going to put it on the shelf. And it was so easy to do. But I guess because it's all I know is I write it out by hand, I type it up, I send it to an editor, and I have them do that because I don't trust AI to be able to find plot holes that I've obviously made. But you know what? If somebody needs to use it as a tool to help them like figure out an outline, or if somebody needs to use it to like have a visual of their character so they can create a character so they can put their eyes on that person, I don't care. And I'm probably going to get canceled for that, but that's okay. As long as you're willing to admit that it's AI. Just say, yes, this is an AI visual. I did use that on social media. I made a visual image of my two characters. And I don't think I actually mentioned that it was AI, but it's so obvious AI. And if somebody asks me, yes, of course it is. I don't know these two people. I have blue hair. She has long, big curly hair. That's obviously not me. But I'm not going to punish somebody, or I'm not going to accuse people of using generative AI if I don't know that for 100%. Now, if they're making money off of it without actually outing themselves, I do have a problem with that. Just tell people. Just be honest about it.
Yes. And one thing I will say before I go into the final segment of the interview, the business
I'm sorry, I talked too much.
Oh, no. You're perfect, Amara. You're perfect. And one thing I will definitely say is that for those who use like AI to like write their book, just so you know, and I'll actually give a comparison that I guess of mine said last year, asking AI to write a book for you is like asking an alcoholic to write the book for you. It's not going to make sense. You're going to end up rewriting it. You're going to be the editor, not the writer.
You spend more time editing it than you would have just writing it yourself.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
But I also want to mention that people, like, if you were to put a Jane Austen book in an AI detector, it comes back 90% as being like 80 as being AI. It's not. It's Jane Austen, but we need to quit relying on those detectors and just start being honest with our readers.
Yes. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Now, on the topic of the market and business side of being an author, again, as an icebreaker question. So when you finished writing the book, Amara, and you published it, what really surprised you about that aspect of the journey? And looking back, is there anything you would have done differently?
No. No, because it's already done now, so it doesn't matter. I was surprised how easy it was to get it on like Kindle Unlimited. The one thing that I would tell people to do is to buy their own ISBN. That is the one thing I think people need to do out the gate. And it can be, it's like $165, and it can be a little pricey. But the minute that you buy your own ISBN and you can upload it to Ingram Sparks, then now your book is pretty much available in every major book outlet. So my book is available through Books A Million and Barnes & Noble and Amazon and all of them ones that are here in the US. It can be ordered directly from that store, as opposed to it just being Amazon. If you don't buy it and you get a free ISBN, that ISBN now belongs to Amazon. So it can get very complicated. So I would suggest that. The only thing I think I would do differently, you know what? I'm a liar. I would have gone back and really ordered about 17 copies of my book each time I had to fix the cover. Because the first time it came, it was fuzzy. Second time I fixed it, it was a little bit cleaner. Third time I said, whatever it is, it is. And you know what? It's still a little fuzzy. So I wish I had, been more patient and spent the $6 to have it sent to me so I could make sure it looks perfect. But it is what it is. It's done now. I will know that for next time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now the topic of understanding the audience, which I think is very, very important. Now, as you mentioned earlier, Mara, your book has a lot of comedy, has a lot of romance, but it's not a romantic comedy book. It has those elements, but it's not the main genre of your writing. And this kind of is to be, what's what I'm thinking of? It's kind of, I don't want to say expected, but it should be noted that readers of said genres have certain expectations of how a book is supposed to go in said genre. And this is where we find ourselves as authors balancing. We don't want to write something that's too familiar, that's going to be seen as a knockoff version, but nothing too original that's going to throw people off. We have to realize, okay, we've written this book. Who exactly is going to read this? Who's the audience that this is going to be really marketed towards, and all that stuff. So, Amara, for your book, how did you not only balance the two scales, but also get an idea and sense of the audience and possibly readership for your book?
I didn't. I just threw it out there for a women of prayer. I just hope for the best. I thought because it was funny and it had and it had romance, that it was a romantic comedy. And since then, what I have learned are people who were reviewing it were like, this book is very sweet, but it's not what I thought it was going to be. Because I guess I didn't warn them. Now I do have the warnings, like this handles issues like grief and mental health and anxiety and stress in a very light way. It's not like in your face, it's not traumatic, but it is there. And I think people thought they were going to like just these two people were going to meet on an app and they were going to fall in love and they were going to like a little moment and they would get back together, and that's not what happened. So I have no idea how that balance is. I tricked people into reading it by saying that it was a romantic comedy. That's
all right. I respect it. I
was like, you know what? This is so sweet, and this is a great romantic comedy. You should read it. And they come back and go, wow, I'm depressed now. Thanks.
All right.
I have no answer to that.
Kind of going forward from that, were there any other books, and this is another fan question, were there any other books that you read growing up that may have played a role in either the inspiration behind this book or some of the characters in the book?
So I grew up reading Stephen King and Theme Koontz. So there's none of that. I also grew up reading the classics. I'm an Austen girl through and through. So I do think that there are some characteristics of like of Elizabeth Bennet and a Mr. Darcy, Mr. Bingley. I love Sense and Sensibility, so there is some Mr. Knightley. I was also a big Anne of Green Gables fan because I'm old, and I remember loving those. And I do think I took a lot of the characteristics from some of my favorite characters like that and put him into this book. But I don't think there's any one particular book that I can name that says this is the book that's gonna make me write. This is it. I think I just really wanted to be Jane Austen growing up.
All right. And then besides being an author, let's talk a little bit about your podcast that you have on YouTube. Can you walk us through how that came about? And another fan question that another one of my viewers asked me to ask you as a fellow interviewer, what's your favorite episode, and are there any bloopers?
Yes, there are bloopers, and I can't show them because they're terrible. Although I want to, I might do that. I also tell people I'm not going to edit it. So whenever you come to be with me, what it is what it's going to be. So the process started because I read a book by L.J. Langdale, and it was called Sir. And I thought it was a really good book. And I reached out to him and said, hey, I really liked your book, and I'm going to review it. And I thought it was really good. And, I just kind of hit it off, like was talking about the writing process. And I said, what I should do is I should interview you. And I was kind of joking. He's going to get mad when he hears that. But he said, sure. So I sat down with him to do an interview. And it was really not what I was planning on doing. I had no intention of interviewing anybody else after. To this day, it's still my favorite interview because it was so full of chaos and laughter, and I don't think anybody got anything out of it, but it did blossom a really great friendship. So I think that was my best one. But my favorite one is that he and I were doing an announcement that we were doing a collaboration because he and I are working on a young adult duology together. And we decided to put a video up saying that we're going to do this duology. And the chaos that it happened was so bad that we had to start all over again. because we can't stay on track, obviously. Those are my favorite interviews, are the ones that I've done with him. But I've also interviewed like H.L. Wiley, who was great. I mean, I've had some really great interviews, but I probably wouldn't have done it if I hadn't have felt so comfortable with LJ. Because this is easy talking to people. And I try to read at least one book from every person before I interview them. Because I want to ask the questions. I want to get deep into their book. But it's not easy to do. So I probably wouldn't have done it if he hadn't have agreed to it. And there's been no process. I literally put it up and someone said, hey, can you interview me? But they came to me. And but then I started saying, okay, well, if you want to do it, come to me as well. Like it was the first 4 that came to me. And then the rest, I've put out the invitation. I'll interview anybody about anything because I don't care. It's really a nice way to meet people, I suppose, who are in the same field as you and I. Like being an indie author is rough. People in your life don't know what you're going through.
Absolutely, 100%. And that kind of goes into the next question, which is probably one of my favorite questions to ask for this segment. And that is, of course, networking and building our team of people. Now, what I mean by that, viewers and listeners, is that as indie authors, it's not easy. We have to build our own teams. I have my editor on standby. I have my art creators on standby. I have my artists. I have my cover people. I have all of those in my inner circle that I have vetted through many, many times, that I've realized these are the people that I want to work with for all of my projects. Now, Amara, for you, not only can you share your experiences with networking, but I would also like to hear your thoughts on how you knew each of the persons that's in your inner circle was the person that was right for you.
That's a good question. So I do a lot of my own artwork, and then what I don't do, my husband is an artist, and so is my daughter. So whatever I can't do, I convince them to do for free. So there's that. I am very lucky to be surrounded by very talented people. Like we're creating a soundtrack for our young adult duology. My husband he and I both play the guitar, play the piano. He sings. I'm not as good as he is, but like I do a lot of collaboration with family, so I don't really get a chance to do a lot of outside looking because they're free, and free is good when you're an indie author.
Yes.
But my editor is we fight all the time. I've known him for a very long time. He himself is an indie author, and he stepped away from writing and decided to move into the editing field. So I beta read for him early on, and he beta read for me, and then he came back and was like, and I knew that he was doing editing. I was never going to ask him to do it because I didn't want to pay him, and because I'm cheap. And he came back and said, this needs a lot of work. You need to get an editor. And I was like, I can't afford an editor. And even if I could, I was kind of hoping he would volunteer. And he did. And he's been with me ever since. So he's great. And that's really my entire team. My husband, my daughter, and my one editor, and then me. I'm lucky that I have some other indie authors, and I'm gonna punch LJ's name out there. He's been great at helping me get ideas forward, and then I have like this cool group of friends I can bounce ideas off of, and then I have the beta readers that I hit up and say, please read this and give me your honest review. But no, I don't really have a team that's that great. They're all great. That's that big because I'm cheap and I'm not paying anybody.
Nice. Sorry. I'm glad you do have a good group of people in your inner circle that you trust with your work. That's another thing, too, that as authors, we are hesitant of who we share our work with. But I'm glad you do have not only family that is very supportive of your work, but also people that you've met in the industry who are also like-minded. And now we arrive at the final question of this amazing author interview, Amara.
Let's do
it. We talked about a lot of things in this interview, from your background as a person, how you got into writing, how you created this story, what you've learned about the industry thus far, your own thoughts on the changes in the industry from AI and so forth. Ultimately, at the end of the day, what do you want people to take away from this book, as well as future works you may publish down the road?
To read it. Care about everything. Just read it. You know what I do? I want them to take away that there's hope at the end of every tunnel, no matter how bad life can be. There's always something positive to look forward to. I also want to say to anybody who reads how important it is to leave a review. If you read their book, leave a review, because people don't know that we exist unless you share it, tell your friend, and read a review. And if you're going to leave a bad review, don't leave one at all, because it's so, if it's 3, 4, or 5 stars, go ahead and read it, but don't bash people, because what may be your yuck is somebody else's yum. If you just come out and say, I hated that book, it's not worth the read, well, then you may put somebody else off who needs that writing in their life to be able to heal something within themselves. And now, because you decided to be a jackhole, now maybe they think it's not worth it. So just keep the bad reviews to yours. You can say this was not for me, but don't just say this book was not worth it. Everybody should pass on it. There's an audience out there for everybody, but leave reviews, people. It helps us out.
100%. Very, very true, Amara. And on that note, viewers and listeners, we conclude this amazing author interview here on Tales from the Wandering Scribe. I want to give a huge thank you to Amara Wynn for coming on the show, making her official debut. Now, Amara, where can people find you on social media if they want to reach out and connect, buy a copy of your book, check out your YouTube channel, and do you have any upcoming announcements you'd like to share, such as any upcoming episodes for your podcast?
I do. I have a couple of interviews. I think one of my next upcoming interviews is you.
Ooh, yes, that is correct. I didn't want to say it, but I kept it hidden.
You should be afraid, because now you've seen I have no limit of what I will say and ask. So whatever question you want to hide, you should tell me now, because I'm on a
book. Go ahead.
Okay, good, because I don't send questions ahead of time.
Oh, okay. I like it.
We're just gonna we have to just go and wing it. I do have a website. It's amarawynn.com. I'm on Instagram at author.amara.wynn. I do have a Facebook, but I don't actually use it because I'm trash. And I do have a YouTube. It's at Amara Wynn. It's called the Author Series Between the Margins. I do have some great interviews coming up. I have a couple of really great ones right now that are up. And I don't want, like Ray Murray and H.L. Wiley and Luella Rains. I've had some great people who have come through. Amelia Liverpool. I've had some amazing people I have interviewed, and I've got some great ones coming up. My book, the sequel, should be out by the end of the year, and then the collaboration that I'm doing with L.J. Langdale, which is he's writing a book from one twin point of view. I'm writing a book from the other twin point of view. The Twin Reckoning series. It's a duology, not a series. That should be out by the end of the year as well. And you can buy my book at any major bookstore if you want to just go online and get it. And other than that, it's on Kindle Unlimited. And every time you turn a page, I get like a penny. Awesome. Go turn those pages so I can get my penny.
Excellent. I will link all that down below in the description of this video, viewers and listeners. And be on the lookout for my appearance on Amara's show coming soon. Once we get closer to the date, I'll be posting it on my socials, and Amara will be posting it on her socials as well. So be on the lookout for that, as well as the official date, hopefully posted in my newsletter. So be on the lookout for that.
If there's any questions you want me to ask him, go to my Instagram and DM me, because I will ask the hard questions that you're too afraid to ask.
Yes, do that, viewers, and also comment section. If you also have questions, comment on this video as well. Definitely.
Yeah, I will. I did ask somebody in my last interview why they put the picture of themselves in the bathtub. I will ask anything. So yes, let me know what questions you have. I will ask him.
Excellent. And if you'd like to see Amara Wynn back on the show in a follow-up interview, possibly in another episode of the Writers Hub, make sure to like this video, comment down below, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel.
Do
And as
it.
always, thank you everyone so much for joining us for another amazing interview. A huge thank you to Amara for coming on the show. And as always, this has been the Wandering Scribe and the Wandering Quill signing out. Wishing you all a wonderful day wherever you are in the world. Have a wonderful morning, everybody, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Take care and have a wonderful day.